All right, we've got a few minutes left for discussion. So if anybody has any questions for Jamie or for Kayla specifically, we hadn't quite got to them, or anybody else in general.
Hi, this question is for you, Andy, if
Oh.
that's okay. So in your slides, there was one slide that kind of showed the distribution of the participating schools in XMAS. So forgive me if you covered this and I missed it, but can you talk a little bit about how these schools get selected and how these kind of science teams get put together?
So schools are selected based off of teacher applications. So we send out, usually about February or March timeframe, we send out an announcement through various listservs. Listservs that we have at LPI, but also we send it with our colleagues at Goddard and at PSI to share with their teacher networks as well. And then teachers apply and we make selections based off of that. We can only select a maximum of 10 a year. And that really just comes down to experience in, well, I'm the only one that works on it. And it's also difficult finding advisors. There's so much going on with the moon. It's kind of hard to find. And even asteroids, it's kind of hard to find folks that can dedicate some time to it. But we do see a lot of return advisors, which is nice. So yeah, teacher application, and then teachers select the students that they think they want to participate.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
So is there any kind of method that you use to promote this to schools or teachers that maybe haven't heard of XMAS or would really benefit from it because there isn't any kind of resources in science education for them? Because it feels like there might be a bias for teachers that already have a lot of science interest to go for these.
So when we get
programs.
applications, we get a mix. That's one of the things we ask is what their experience has been with authentic inquiry-based research. We tend to, we of course get teachers who have done this kind of thing already, and I don't automatically exclude them, but I do put a priority on teachers who say they haven't really done much or any at all.
All right, thank you.
Right.
So I'll jump in with a question for Anna. I was wondering about, you mentioned the memorandum of understanding that you worked together with others to draft. And I was just wondering if you could tell us a little more about that process, if you encountered any challenges that are okay to share or lessons learned that came from that.
Yes, in fact, I forgot to mention that, in fact, this memorandum of understanding was the first one to be established under the scope of this initiative, Space for All Nations. So I think that it was a little bit difficult. It took, I can tell you that it took more than 1 year to establish, because there were involved a lot of institutions, educational research centers, the agency, the Portuguese Space Agency, the IIAS with different legal frameworks, okay? So it took a little bit longer, but after being signed, the doors and all the windows are open to do everything and to start working. So it was in this year, only in the beginning of this year, that the MOU was established and finally signed, and we started to finally work. And that is why I was highlighting the workshop that we promote 2 weeks ago, because this was the way of materializing this MOU and all these initiatives. Thank you for the question. But I hope that this MOU could be the first of many.
Thank you for sharing a little more about that. That sounds like just a huge, huge undertaking. Congratulations on getting to this point.
Thank you so much. And thank you for this opportunity also to share these activities.
Oh, shout out Survey, right? I don't see any other questions in the room. There are 2 more in the chat. that are excellent questions that I will address really briefly. Jay asks, in what ways did the journalism program include or address issues of accessibility and disability accommodation? Also, what did you and the others offering the program learn about how the journalists approach and discuss science? Jay, I think we could have a whole conversation about this, but in the interest of time, I will just make a couple notes about your accessibility and disability question. I think, so one way in which we do include these issues is we worked in this area at 3 different field sites, and 2 of them are drive-up field sites. So no particular physical ability is required to participate or to reach the field locations. And communication about the physical requirements of reaching each location were part of the conversation when, for instance, the science journalism students are deciding where they're going to go to complete their work. I think one area in which we have a lot of room to grow regarding accessibility and disability is we had a team member who was unable to physically join the team participating via video chat part of the time, and that went just okay, I think, to put it generously. So that's something that we could definitely work on facilitating better in the future. That's a really good question, and there's a lot to dig into there. And Anna asks, in the end of the mission, the journalism students felt that it's easier or harder to communicate science. I'm curious about this too, Anna, and one of my wishes for the next time we do this is to go in with the tools to evaluate that question. So I don't have an answer for you today, but I appreciate that. Any other questions here in the room or online? All right. Well, with that, thank you so much again. See you, Boulder team. Let's give it up for the local staff here and for all of our speakers and for Servi. Andy, do you want to add anything? All right. Thanks for a great session, everybody. Take care. Have a good evening.